My name is Verrick Foust, and this is part of a series that talks about parts of IT to introduce you to what real day-to-day could look like in different positions in IT. It also is meant to show you the importance of those positions and what they kind of fit in terms of their role in CIS or IT. CIS just being what a lot of companies will call it. IT is just a good general term that I use. So I'm going to go over that. This one specifically will be about the help desk position. So if you ever see a help desk position being posted, this video is just supposed to give you a little bit more an introductory understanding of what that means. If you're interested in going into a help desk position, this video hopefully will give you some more information on what that means, and hopefully give you some more information on what that is day to day. This is for pretty much everybody. Students, people who are looking into maybe switching career paths, totally understandable. I think a help desk position is really great, and it can give you a lot of great fundamental qualities. Like you're on the phones a lot, so you'll be able to get that personality traits a lot more, having conversations. It's a really well-rounded position, and I highly recommend people, if you're looking to start in IT, that you start at the help desk level. Because even if you're wanting to build up to a different position, it helps give you that foundation to get up to that next level. And without further ado, we'll move on to our next topic here. What help desk is all about. So we kind of touched about it a little bit here in our opening here of the introduction. Help desk is basically you're the first tier. Everyone goes to you first when they have problems or issues regarding to technical issues on their computer, printers. If they're having issues with the website, they'll typically call you on the help desk line, specific line that depends on the business that you're working at. And then they'll reach out to you and they'll tell you about the issue. And then depending on which business you work for, either you as a help desk tech will go out and help that issue, or you'll create a ticket and you'll send it to a generalist and they'll go and help on that issue. Can depend on the business. I've seen it both ways, where sometimes the help desk tech is just there to take the calls, and other times it's the generalist that goes and runs it, or the help desk tech can do both. So I think both are really great. I really enjoy the ones where the help desk tech can, they have just do both of those parts, because it just gives the help desk tech more ability to learn more while they're continuing working on the help desk. So I think that's the best way to go from a business standpoint. And so I think that really helps a lot, gives the help desk more versatility inside of an organization or business. So I think that makes it a lot more helpful for the business side, and for you as an employee, you can take those skills and keep using them and reapplying them and move yourself up in the business, which helps them a lot too. So these type of calls could vary from I'm having issues getting into my account, printer's got a printer jam, several different issues that can come up throughout the day. There's so many different ones. But what really makes this important is the skills that you gain or need to a degree. Most times when people are looking for a help desk tech, they want somebody that already has a little bit of a background already in computers. Typically, if you're in like high school or leaving from the high school level or in the college level currently, you're already in that type of niche of where you're going through learning about computers, have a fairly decent understanding of computers, something like that. If you have a great customer service background, is really important in the help desk, being able to communicate effectively to people. You're dealing with people that are in a very angry state sometimes, so they're not always happy, to say the least, because obviously they're calling you with an issue. So you have to be able to de-escalate the issue and work with them on figuring out the best way to figure out how to solve their issue, and being able to do that effectively and quickly so you can move on to the next issue. Because unfortunately, there's only a few of us at a time, and there's a huge organization that you have to take care of. So going through that process of being quick, but making sure you're being effective at the same time, because you don't want to give a person a bad experience at the same time. So that's really the big balance for the help desk tech. I often recommend to most people, even if they completed college for like a 4-year degree in security, system administration, networking administration, that you start off at any business as a help desk tech, just because it helps get you that foundational understanding of what their environment looks like. So that type of information is very important. It gives you that understanding of, oh, this is how they do this. This is how they manage their network. This is how they manage their servers. This is how their outlook of security is. This is where I see some security issues when I took these calls. These types of things that you see it when you're looking at it from a help desk perspective that you would miss if you're working from these other positions. And I do hope in later videos to go over these positions, but in the moment I just wanted to talk more about the help desk position. So if you are working into those positions, I would definitely think about maybe starting in a help desk position. A lot of times businesses want to hire people that are looking to go into those positions because it gives you a bit of a structure of how to move up in their business as well. They're like, yeah, we'll hire this person who's looking to go into this position, system admin for an example, and we'll put them in the help desk position because that's one we have available currently. We don't have any system admin, but as soon as the system admin's open, that person can move up to that one. He can apply, and there's a good chance we'll hire him in because he's already been a part of our system. He has a good understanding of the environment. He's worked hard. He's very personable. He's been working well on the help desk. We'll move him up in that area. So a lot of businesses work in that fashion because they want you to stay with their business. Most people don't want their techs, they're here in the help desk and they have to leave, or they're here in the system administration, they have to leave to a different area. They want them to stay because you already know how their system works. Having to reteach all that information is extremely expensive for a business or organization. So having to do that multiple times is just not beneficial for them. And making you go through that help desk helps gain you some of those skills that you might be lacking if you came from a college or a high school education. So then it gives you those skills background and the understanding of their environment and moves you upwards. And then also gives you a good understanding with the people you work with. One thing I want to note with working with a help desk, you get to interact with essentially everybody in the entire business, whether they're high up or on a very lower scale, I guess, in terms of where they stand on the power level of organization, I guess. Like if they're the supervisor of whatever, or the just a normal phone operator. So it depends on where you are, but everyone runs into issues no matter who you are. So you get to work with all these people, great connections with them, make sure that everything's working well for them. And then, they're like, oh yeah, I talked to Verrick about this issue and he was able to fix it really quickly. I was very happy about it. Thank you for that. I'll make sure to write in the thank you on the response. Sometimes a lot of ticket systems will have that, here's a happy face for making this quickly and easy for me, and I don't have to do a lot of back and forth. And that's one other thing I wanted to touch on. A lot of help desks have ticketing systems. It's very common. I don't think I've ever seen one without a help desk system, to be honest. It might be a smaller business, might not, but most of them will. And when I'm talking about a ticket system, normally what that is normally third parties. Some of them can do it in-house, but normally it's a third party. Essentially, it's just an email. Somebody will send an email in. That third party application creates a ticket, gives you a whole bunch of general information, and then you get to add tasks and a whole bunch of general information to help your supervisor know what you're doing to make sure that's completed. And then they know when you respond to them that it's being worked on. It makes it easier for your other techs to know what's going on that issue. It's very important in the help desk environment, and it's also very important throughout a CIS or really any environment, to be honest. I think it's also heavily used in other facilities, but very useful for CIS teams. So that's another big part of it, making sure you can type out tickets that make sense, making sure you can use proper grammar. That's very important, and making sure the communication is there. Communication is very important in help desk specifically, because if you aren't able to communicate what you need them to do or what you're doing to the customer, to the employee that you're working with, it can be a little bit difficult and frustrating for that person. So if you don't think you can communicate what you want to say to them through email, then I would recommend giving them a call. And these are like the top tier, like what I would recommend doing if you're starting in a help desk position, just thinking over, maybe practicing if you haven't done any practice previously. It will give you a huge edge in the help desk industry. And then another thing that a lot of people ask is, well, if I'm not going to be a help desk tech forever, why would I want to start in that position? Why not just skip to that part? That's a really good point. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't, go right into the position you want to go to if it's available. My point is simply to point out that it gives you a lot of background information. It gives you a lot of different viewpoints that you wouldn't necessarily see. And a lot of people in the industry start at a help desk point and then move on. forward. I can't tell you how many colleagues that I've had that were help desk and then moved their way up beyond that, management of CIS, director positions. So they just move their way up from the help desk line upwards. And I think that gives you a lot of different aspects of understanding, because it really helps knowing how each piece of your department works. And the director being a good example, I think you become a lot more effective at directing your team when you understand how each piece of it works. So that type of understanding really makes a difference. And that's why I like so much about the help desk. The other thing about help desk, when I was talking about earlier, when I said it was a tier 1, that means it's the first point of contact. Everyone comes to them first. So if there's an issue that's a little bit above what they can manage, or if they don't have permissions to manage, that's again where the ticketing system, they would create a ticket, or they would try to reach out to a tech that's what some people would call tier 2, or system administration, network administration, so then they can help on that level, working on the servers or the backends to get that corrected, because it might be affecting more than one person too. Maybe higher the level of that issue as well. And that's the importance of it. The reason why that's also important that we have the tier 1, everyone comes to us, is these other people are typically doing other things, right? There's a whole bunch of background processes that need to be worked on at all times. A whole bunch of other work that most people probably don't see because it's all in the background. But when there is a huge issue, of course, we want to make that a top priority, because the business still has to keep running. So they come to us, and then we make sure we can communicate that in the right verbiage that they'll understand. We're kind of like translators in a way of communicating their English to the more tech-savvy English. So it's completely understandable for us to go back and forth with them. And that happens a lot in different businesses. Depending on the size, it also depends on what level of the help desk is included on that. But that's really the biggest part, is making sure we can communicate effectively to the customer or the employee that you work with back to our team effectively. Because communication is one of the biggest things in IT or help desk or in any part of CIS, to be honest. And that's really important to talk about. And that's something else that help desk really helps with. When you're taking calls all day, you get a lot better at that communication skill, because then you get different types of people, different people with different problems, different tolerance levels, and then you can help yourself kind of manage those issues a little bit better. And that's why I again, before going into a help desk, I always recommend to people, my previous videos, I told them having communication skills, people skills is very important. I think some people made the jokes of, if you don't need to work, have a good people skills when you're going into like coding or anything like that. It's just simply not true. You definitely need to have great people skills when working in the IT industry. It really helps you a lot, especially in any industry at this point. And so that's really what I wanted to point out to you guys on that end. And then the other question a lot of people would ask is, why would I even bother doing a help desk position? Is there any real reason why I would choose this over, why would I stay in one? That was the other question somebody asked me. And I think that's a good question. It's tough to say that you would have to stay in it. Most people use that as a staging ground. So I'm not saying that you would have to stay, but I do think it's an important thing to think about. If you really enjoy it, the communication portion of it is really nice. If you like that communication of, talking to people, trying to get their ideas, making sure you're solving their problems, it might be better for you to look into that administrative position, because that's where a lot of those communications come into line, or perhaps security. Because again, security, we'll probably talk on this a little bit more in a security video, but security does a lot more of that talking with other people to make sure that they have better policies in place that don't affect their day-to-day work as much. So that might be something to look into if you think that talking to people is what one of your best skills are. I would definitely recommend that. So I think that working in a help desk will definitely help your career trajectory anyway. Looking for a business that is happy to have you start in a help desk and then move your way up, that'll definitely help you a lot. Those are really my main points here. I didn't want to make the video too large either. I know that some of my previous ones were large, but this is just an introduction on help desk and what we do most of the times, and some of the things that you might want to look into. In terms of what you would need from an educational standpoint, honestly, I think you could even go out of high school and work in a help desk as long as you have like a decent background already. in IT. I think that's probably good enough. They aren't extremely technical, unless the certain jobs that you're working at are, that could require different things. And it's up to the businesses at the end of the day. But those are really my top recommendations on it. Definitely feel free to let me know if you have any questions or concerns. I'd be happy to work with you guys on any of these questions. Again, the reason why I made this video was I had a few questions about why would somebody want to start in help desk, and I wanted to make a couple videos about that and why do these certain jobs, with some introductions of why these positions are so important and what they actually mean. A lot of people have different misconceptions of what jobs are. So definitely let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them in the comments below. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Bye.